Welcome back to another video in Coastal Fitness and Nutrition. I'm Dr. Devon Coughlin. Today we're going to talk about how to maximize our vitamin D levels. All right, so little outline that we're going to go by is we're going to talk about what ideal levels would look like. We're going to go over how we actually get those levels, like what options we have to obtain vitamin D. We're going to talk about the process of activation, like how the body actually converts sunlight into a usable form of vitamin D that our body can use. And then we're going to go over some do's and don'ts as far as, again, let's say you spend the day in the sunshine and people think, oh, I'm in the sun, I'm going to get all this vitamin D. There's actually a number of variables that can affect how well your body absorbs that vitamin D. All right, so we're going to dive right in here. Make sure, again, you click subscribe and also share the channel, the YouTube channel, Coastal Fitness and Nutrition, where we're going to be busting myths, covering scientific research as far as how you can increase your overall health. But again, we're going to talk about vitamin D levels today, and that's what our video is about. So again, let's just start by talking about ideal levels. So when we talk about ideal levels of vitamin D, you're going to see that we are going to talk about 60 to 90 ng per milliliter. All right, so if you get blood work done, your doctor runs blood work, they're going to say, well, as long as you're over 30 ng a milliliters, we're going to say, oh, that's fine. And the truth is, that's not true at all. 30 is the cutoff for vitamin D deficiency, but you don't want to be just above deficient. You want to be thriving with your vitamin D level. All right, so somewhere between 60 and 90 is going to be optimal. Me personally, I've been shooting for 80, and that's really where I want to be. You can have your vitamin D levels tested very simply on a blood test. Again, you want to fall into that 60 to 90 range. 30 is not good, all right? How do we get that? There are some ways we can get vitamin D through our food. It's limited though. So a lot of people say, oh, well, I get all my vitamins through my diet. I don't want to take supplements or pills, and the sun's damaging, so I don't want to be in the sun. So I'm going to get all my vitamin D from my food. I'm going to tell you that's a myth. It can't happen. It's impossible. Vitamin D is very, very low in foods. You get some in eggs. You get some in certain mushrooms. You get some in organ meats like liver and heart and things like that. But aside from taking a cod liver fish supplement, I don't know anyone that's eating liver, whether it's beef or chicken. Very, very few people actually consume organ meats. All right, so the amount of vitamin D you're getting from food is minimal at best. So that's not going to get the job done. It's not going to get your levels up in that 60 to 90 degree range. The other option, which is very popular, is going to be supplements. Again, can that raise your vitamin D level? It can. However, it's not the best option. I know a lot of people that take vitamin D supplements. Again, if you live in a cold weather climate, like you're somewhere north of Georgia, if you drew like a latitude line across the United States, if you're north of Georgia, you're not getting enough sunlight throughout the year to actually give your body enough vitamin D. So there is a place for supplements. I want to tell you though, it's not the best way. It's not the most active absorbable form of vitamin D. And so again, we could have a whole nother video on supplements, but I'm going to tell you that's not the best option. Our best option for getting our vitamin D naturally is without a doubt the sun. All right, the good old sun. We've been lied to for years telling us that the sun causes skin cancer, it's going to cause melanoma, all these different things. I want to put that myth to bed right now. First and foremost, if you are in the sun too much and you get skin damage, you can get skin cancer, but let's be clear. Melanoma is not caused by too much sun. And the truth is, melanoma is really the only deadly skin cancer. Basal cell is the other one. The other one's also called squamous cell. They're carcinomas. They are not generally deadly at all. We get them caught early. They get removed by the dermatologist. I'm not saying we should ignore them by any means, but melanoma is the deadly one. Truth is, people get melanoma inside their mouth. People have gotten melanoma on the bottom of their feet. They've gotten melanoma on crevices and parts of their body that have never seen the sun. So that is a complete myth. I actually, in preparing for this video, I was reading on Yale University's website, Ivy League school, arguably the second-ranked school in the whole country of the United States, and they're still spreading the lie that melanoma is caused by too much sun. It's a lie. It's been debunked. And again, melanoma is not caused by too much sun. So the sun is our preferential way to get vitamin D3 in our body, and I want to go through the process that it activates. This is really cool, and a lot of you have probably never heard this before, but when our body is in the sun and our skin gets exposed to the sunlight directly, a whole process, very complex process, starts to happen where first and foremost, an oily substance forms on our skin. All right, and that oil gets absorbed into our fat cells near the surface of our skin. Now from there, it gets absorbed into our body, and then in our bloodstream, our actual cholesterol in our body gets converted to vitamin D. So a cool side note is that people that live in warmer climates that are in the sun a lot generally are going to have lower cholesterol levels because the sun actually helps our body convert our cholesterol into vitamin D. It's another reason why I don't recommend taking statin drugs. Again, we'll talk about that in another video. But your cholesterol levels need to be at a certain level that can be utilized for the sun to turn it into vitamin D. That activated cholesterol then, it's called pre-vitamin D, gets sent to your liver and your kidneys where it gets converted into a usable or activated form of vitamin D3, which is really more of a hormone than it is a vitamin. And that's how it gets used. So there's a whole process that goes on. What makes the sun superior to a supplement is that when you take a supplement, it doesn't get as activated of a form as it does in the natural form of getting it from the sun. So again, our sun is our ideal way of getting that. And then as we talk about that process of activation, the sun hitting our skin and oil forming and then getting into our bloodstream, that's where we're going to get into the do's and don'ts. All right. One of the keys here as far as optimizing your vitamin D levels is if you're going to be in the sun for a number of hours a day, you don't want to shower right afterwards, and you don't want to be swimming in a pool or a lake or the ocean. Most people, when their body is exposed or in a bathing suit, they're around water. So keep in mind, you want to give your body some time to absorb that oil, and that oil gets into your bloodstream before it gets washed off. All right, so that's a big mistake that people make. And then so they might be in the sun a lot and still have a less than optimal vitamin D level. And the reason why is because they haven't actually absorbed all that oil. So number one is you want to make sure that you don't wash that oil off right away. All right, number two is sunscreen, and this is a big one. A lot of people glob themselves up with sunscreen. And logically, the idea of sunscreen is to block the sun's UVA and UVB rays from really causing sunburn or skin damage or things like that. What it also does is, though, it blocks your body's ability to absorb those UVB rays, which are the part of the rays in the sun that actually raise vitamin D levels. So again, I'm not saying go and get burned. What I'm saying instead is you would rather have exposure to sunlight and then go in the shade or cover up with clothing so that you can control how much sun you get that way versus globbing a bunch of sunscreen on and then going about your day. Again, we could have a whole nother video on sunscreen, and I will do that, but there's a lot of chemicals in sunscreen that are so dangerous. Places like Hawaii and Australia don't even allow certain sunscreens because they're so toxic, they actually damage the coral reef. All right, so if you go to Hawaii, they'll say, you cannot use these types of sunscreen because it's so damaging to the environment. Imagine what it's doing to your body. And so again, we'll have a whole other video on that. Another one is, again, I don't want you to get burned, so make sure that you're going to be able to get adequate shade or cover up with clothing. All right, so those are some of the tips that we wanted to share with you today as far as optimizing vitamin D levels. There's going to be more of this information to come. Again, we'll have videos on cholesterol. We're going to have videos on sunscreen, all those different things. But again, today was how to maximize those vitamin D levels. Be smart about it. You want to make sure that you're getting enough sunlight that you're not causing a sunburn, but you're getting enough to really absorb those UVB rays to create vitamin D. Just to end the video, vitamin D is crucial for immune system function. All right, we're still in the midst. I hope we're almost through COVID-19. As I talk to you right now in April of 2021, we want to make sure we're over a year into this whole process. And what they've consistently found in research is that people with higher vitamin D levels have way fewer complications from COVID-19. So again, I want to encourage you to make sure that for immune reasons. Number two is going to be for bone density, bone strength. Again, a number of things are going to be driven by vitamin D levels: mood, depression, seasonal affective disorder. These are all really, really important to, these are really highly affected by low vitamin D levels. So if you live in a colder weather climate, make sure you make time to get yourself into a warmer climate periodically. If you live in a warmer climate, again, take full advantage of those sun's rays because vitamin D is so, so crucial. All right. Again, it's been Dr. Devon Coughlin, Coastal Fitness and Nutrition. Make sure you tune in, subscribe, share with your friends, bringing you the truth, no BS. And we're going to be really blowing up all those different theories out there and all the bad science that's out there. We want to share with you the truth so you maximize your health.